You're listening to Mentoring Developers. From a point of view of a new developer, they should know. I think the message that I want to put out, and I think you want to put out, is that getting a job is not the only way of moving a career forward. There are other avenues. You can create a presence for yourself. You could do consulting, certainly contract type work, or you could do training if you get good at one aspect, and you can produce content that others can consume. There are ways of making some passive income, and you can try many different ways of making money and keep your passion going. I think that's the message. In terms of how to get your first contract or how to get a few contracts, I think it's very important that we can talk. So this particular course, Let's Workshop, is can be really valuable, and there are other avenues as well. But do you agree with this idea that a new developer, somebody who doesn't have the reputation, maybe doesn't have really strong expertise in any one thing, they have other options besides getting a job?
For sure. Look, the world is desperate. Even as lots of people learn programming, the world is desperate still for developers. There's just not enough talent to solve all the problems that people have. And as time goes on, you would think that we'd be graduating more and more computer science degrees and more developers, and so the demand, like the supply-demand balance, would have more supply. And yet demand keeps outstripping supply. So if you're interested in working in the computer world and you don't have a computer science degree, you can get a job. It might take you longer because people might look askance at you, or they might sort of put you into the secondary pile. But you will be able to get a job. And that job will lead to another job, and it just keeps going on and on from there. And you'll meet people, and they'll recommend you, and you'll have ideas of your own, maybe start a company or do consulting. Like the world is your oyster. But one of the most instructive things that happened to me when I was at MIT was, as I said, I was the editor-in-chief of the student newspaper there. And there was this program called the Knight Fellowships, where they brought science journalists to MIT to spend a year taking courses. And the idea was they would be better science journalists as a result of taking classes with the undergrads. So, there are a bunch of 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds taking class, and this 45-year-old reporter trying to just sort of keep up. Actually, some of them were very, very bright and very capable, so that their science journalism will be better. And we somehow stumbled into getting a meeting with them. And we had a great, great dinner and meeting, and it was terrific. And at some point, we went around the room and said, so, what's your background? How did you get into science journalism? And none of them had studied science, and none of them had studied journalism. And that's when I realized, what you study in college does not determine your career. And I think it's especially true in the computer industry. You can, your career can move around and change, and it's what you make of it. You might need to work harder without the degree. You might need to compromise a bit more at the beginning without a degree, but it's still possible.
Yeah, and certainly you don't need to get a job if you live in the middle of Idaho or Utah or Alabama, and there are no tech companies, or the tech jobs that you have, they pay minimum wage. You don't have to accept that. That's possible because of the internet, because of the possibility of working remotely, possibility of starting a website. Thank you so much for listening.
For show notes and transcripts, visit us at mentoringdevelopers.com.